You're tuned into a Talkin Hoopz exclusive. AJ, Kyle, Mark Strickland, and the legendary Bob McAdoo. Bob, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, just getting prepared for our game against the Charlotte Bobcats for tomorrow.
All right, that's good. That's always good preparation. I like it. I like it. Actually, talking about the Miami Heat, you are an assistant coach on the team. What do you see between this Heat squad and the Heat squad from last season? How's the mindset right now?
Well, the mindset was good. I mean, during the season, it was a little bit tough because, when you won it 2 years in a row, it's hard keeping guys focused. It's almost like they want to rush the situation and hurry up and get to the playoffs. A lot of times, the regular season games, they're not putting out like they did last year. But I'm just happy we got through and, healthy. That's what you're looking for, to be healthy at the end and have a good seeding. We missed out on one, but two is good enough.
And you mentioned, health. Wade obviously was rested a lot, especially down the stretch to try to get him ready for the playoffs. What is the game plan now after seeing what the Bobcats want to do, at least in Game 1? How do you guys proceed going forward, especially now with Al Jefferson, their best player, with that foot injury? He's even questionable for Game 2. What are you guys planning on doing for the rest of the series now?
Well, we're not going to take that, we're going to play like Al Jefferson is 100%. We know that him and Kemba Walker are the engines of that team, and those are the two guys that we've got to contain some kind of way, especially Kemba Walker. I mean, with his quickness, it's going to be tough because anytime you got a quick guard, they can create havoc for your team. But if we can corral him, make Al Jefferson work. We got guys that we can put on him: Bird, Udonis, Chris Bosh. We got a three-headed monster that we can go at him and hopefully wear him down in the series.
Okay. This is my question, Bob. I always wanted to ask, you played with some great players. You were a great player yourself. I got an opportunity to play against Michael Jordan, and now you are a coach of LeBron James. I just want to know, how do you feel about him as a player, being one of the best players in the league, and being a guy that's played against and played with a lot of great players? Do you put him in the top 5? Do you think he's one of the best players in the league? Where do you rank him? Is he really the leader that people are saying he is for that team? That's just my question.
Well, it's hard to rank players because, they're from different decades and stuff. But all I can say is in this time period and now, he is definitely the top player. All time, it's hard to say because it's been so many. Of course, the names that people bring up all the time: Jordan, Magic, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson. I mean, those guys, if you compare stats, those guys match up with anybody, But for me, it's hard putting a ranking on people because, it's different eras.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now,
go ahead, AJ.
Well, now we're talking about the Miami. We were talking about the Miami Heat and what you guys are going through with the Bobcats. But how do you guys think you're going to fare throughout the rest of the playoffs, assuming that you guys take care of business and beat the Bobcats? Is there any team that you're worried about now that Indiana is really kind of falling off?
Well, you worry about everybody, really. You don't take anybody lightly. That's been our mindset. That's why we've been able to win the last 2 years because, we didn't take anybody lightly. Even though, even the Milwaukee Bucks last year, who had a terrible record being an 8th seed, we took them serious, just like we're going to take the Bobcats. And, whoever's next in line, if we're fortunate enough to get there, we'll deal with it. And that's just how we've looked at it as a coaching staff and his players.
You mentioned LeBron. I wanted to go back to Mark's thing, about ranking LeBron. And I realize that it is hard because so many different decades have so many different rules and different ways of playing the game. But you've been around so many great players and so many great teams. This Heat squad, and you were around Wade and Bosh and LeBron when they first came together to where they are now. How do they compare to the rest of the great teams that have played? The Michael Jordan of the Bulls in the 90s and Bird and Magic in the 80s. How does this team compare to all the different teams throughout the generation?
Well, like I say, it's hard. I mean, when people ask me, I get kind of really keyed off because they don't really include our Laker teams of the 80s. Nobody ever mentions the fact that the first time in NBA history, a team has been able to put 3 MVPs out on the floor at one time. And that was our Laker team in the early 80s. Myself, Kareem, and Magic, we had 3, the thing that kept us from winning my 4 years out there, I thought, were injuries. I thought we could have won it 4 straight years, but injuries hurt us. We won 2 out of my 4 years out there. But not only did we have 3 MVPs, we had 4 other guys that had been on all-star teams. So we had an all-star lineup. I mean, once you get past our 3 guys now, we don't have really an all-star lineup. Those teams that I know from the 80s, Philadelphia 76ers with Julius Erving, Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks, the Boston Celtics had Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and a slew of other all-stars on their team.
Bob, I wanted to ask you, what is the mood of the locker room? Since it's you guys is like third time, almost going for a three-peat. What is the mood of the locker room? Do you feel the players are more stressful? Do you feel like they're more? Is it more stress on them, or they're just joking around for the games? Is it a loose feeling in the locker room before the game?
They're pretty
What's
loose.
the mood of the locker room?
On them, the most stress was on them probably the first year. Because of the pronouncement that LeBron and Dwayne made, and we failed against Dallas. So when we won their second year together, it kind of took some of the edge off of them. And right now, they've been there before. They know what it takes. So, I mean, the locker room is, it's loose, but it's not real loose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right.
Bob, that's been one of the knocks on the Heat this season from a lot of analysts, saying that this is not the same team from last season. And as LeBron has said in interviews, it's just been harder to motivate guys to three-peat. What do you see, though, from this team? Can they get it done? I mean, I know you said that they have what it takes, but at the same time, with everybody saying what they have been saying about the Heat, like, what do you say to all that?
Well, I mean, getting to the finals for 3 straight years, our guys do have a lot of miles on their legs, and we're not, we don't have spring chickens anymore. So, from that perspective, it'll be a little tougher on us because they are older. Like I said, they got more miles on their legs. But mentally, right now, they are in a good place. And hopefully we can hold that place, against the Charlotte Bobcats.
Right. And then you don't have a guy like Mike Miller on your team this season, but James Jones, first time we've really seen him in a while, especially coming up big in the playoffs last game. He's really stepped his game up. What do you think of James Jones and his play?
James Jones is a professional. He's the ultimate professional. I mean, he hasn't played all year, but I've watched him, work and keep himself in shape and condition. He's always taking 200-300 shots after practice. He keeps his shot toned, and he's definitely one of the best shooters in the league. So, I mean, he got his shot, his opportunity, and he made the most out of it. He's a guy, I just love the guy because he's just a hard worker.
And now, just shifting away from the Heat a little bit to maybe more of a personal matter for you, James McAdoo, he is expected to go into the league and expected to be drafted. You've seen him play for a long time. For those who don't know, what can they expect from him? If he does get drafted into the league, what are some of his strengths and how can he help a team out?
Well, he's first of all, he's a good kid. He's very coachable. He's very athletic. I'd like to see him work on his shot a little bit more because, when you're his size, 6'9", you've got to be able to hit that 15-foot shot. 6'9" guys are, out to the three-point line now. I don't think he'll be able to do that, but he's got to make that 10 to 17-foot shot, once he steps up to the next level. Athletically, he can deal with this NBA. But if he's going to be, in somebody's rotation, he's got to be able to, be a small force offensively.
Would it not be one of the greatest moments if this kid was able to play for the Miami Heat under you as a coach?
Yeah, that'd be great. If he's available, I know because we won, we don't have an early draft pick, but from everything that I've heard, he's probably going to be in the late first round or early second round. So anything is possible.
Definitely.
My question, Bob, is I played in the league. They had coaches, Pat Riley, Jerry Sloan. I think the only coach of that stature is Popovich. Do you think it's a changing of the guard in the league these days? Back when I played, it was pretty much, you was there. Pat Riley rules is his way or the highway. Do you think it's kind of changing of the guard now that players are more in control? You see the situation with Deron Williams and his coaches, and coaches are getting fired after 1 year, or coming into season and getting fired after winning or losing 32 games or winning 32 games, and they're getting fired all of a sudden. Do you think it's a change in the guard that players are now kind of running the league and not the strong arm coaches?
Well, it's a little bit more of that than it was, when we played, Mark. Especially when I played, the coach's way was the only way. But now, players wield so much weight now that, it is a changing of the guard. Look what's happening in New York. Mike Woodson had the best record since Van Gundy and Pat Riley, and he's shown the door. This is what people are doing now. Everybody, you got 30 teams. There's only going to be one team that's going to win a championship. And I think a lot of these teams are making a mistake. If you even got a player that's like that, to me, he's not a character guy.
No.
I look at players that, are complaining and bitching about coaches. To me, they're not character players. How you going to count on them at the end? You got to be the one that's got to go out there and get the job done on the floor.
Definitely.
Ultimately.
Yeah. My last question, Bob. I've been watching ESPN, and there's a lot of documentaries on the ABA and all the old history of the basketball leagues, and a lot of guys like yourself, and a lot of those guys like Dr. J, and some of those guys are getting a lot of notoriety. I just wanted to know, how does that make you feel, just to know that that ESPN and these type of sports shows are even giving you guys the knowledge of back in the day of guys that kind of made the path for a lot of guys like myself and these guys like LeBron and those guys. I just wanted to know from somebody that played in that era, just to get an opportunity to see a lot of guys that you didn't, me, for myself, not know about, and a lot of teams that I didn't know about. How does it make you feel that people are now giving y'all the credit that you deserve?
Well, it's good because it's letting people know that the league didn't start with Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. It was guys before him. Give kudos to the guys that that had this league started from the beginning. The Russells, the Chamberlains, Kareem, George Mikan. I mean, you got to give credit. You know, league wouldn't be where it is now if you didn't have those guys that were playing, and then to show the skill of those guys. You know, everybody, you know, comparing players. Sometimes when I hear these reporters who didn't see the game, they act like the guys from the 70s and 80s, my period, couldn't even play, which is ridiculous. You know, we had athleticism, speed, shooters. We had the same thing. You know, nothing is new under the sun. This is what I tell these guys today. Nothing is new under the sun. You haven't invented the game of basketball. It's always been great players in this league. It was great players before I got here. And that's how we looked at it when we were young players. We respected the guys that came before us. You know, now the guys are so young, they don't even know certain guys that even play in the league. They'll walk past you in the street and won't even know you even play in the NBA. So it's good that they're getting on TV so they can recognize some of the names, some of the faces of some of these guys who were stars back in the day.
Not just that, but you also played for Buffalo. I don't even think a lot of people know today that Buffalo was actually a team at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it's the L.A. Clippers now, you know, and you know, I mean, that was in the 70s when they dissolved the team and moved them away. But, you know, yeah, it was a, you know, franchise that was doing well, you know, doing very well until the owners decided to move it, you know.
Right. So
my last thing, Bob, is I think it's highway robbery that you're not in the top 50 players in the league. It just, to me, it just don't make any sense. And I just wanted to give you credit where credit is due. I think you definitely should have been in the top 50 players. There's no way they should have left you out of there, because every time I talk to somebody, you know, my high school coach was Travis Machine Gun Grant, and I see all these guys now that I'm a part of the retired players. Your name always comes up in conversation, and I just wanted to compliment you, man. And it was an honor, man, to get an opportunity to know you.
Thank you, Mark. I mean, I didn't get upset. You know, my son is the one that kind of researched it. He said, "Dad, you're the only MVP and scoring champion that didn't make it." So I'm like, well, what happened there? You know, sometimes they play so far back. The people of today, they don't remember some of the guys that played, you know, back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
He's in Talkin Hoopz top 50 greatest players of all time.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Bob, before we let you go, you know you got an event to go to tonight. Just wanted to touch with what you said earlier. You talked about Mike Woodson. What do you think about that situation? Do you think Woody deserved to go? I mean, are you behind him? Are you backing him? What do you think of that whole situation?
I think the man did a great job with what he had. You know, I mean, I've heard some of the players speak. They were hoping he'd get another year. But, you know, when you got a new president coming in, you know, he want his regime to come in. And, I mean, I feel bad for Mike and his staff because, you know, from what I've read, you know, he's had the third best record behind Van Gundy and Pat Riley. And that's nothing to, you know, sneeze about. I mean, that's good basketball. That's a good percentage of winning, 58% winning. That's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And then on the flip side, obviously you guys got Pat Riley running things over in Miami. What do you think of Phil Jackson now taking over for the Knicks and getting complete control?
Well, it's, you know, we'll see. That's all you can say is we'll see how things turn out. If he can, you know, get players up there, because you got to have talent if you're going to win. That's the bottom line. You know, you got to get talent. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see in the future if he's going to be able to pull talent in there.
Definitely, Bob. It's been awesome having you on the show. Obviously, you're one of the greatest players ever of all time, and you're on our top 50 greatest players list. So
thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the way in the playoffs with the Heat. And again, we really appreciate you checking us out, coming on the show.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, then.
All right, buddy.
Talkin Hoopz, TalkinHoops.com, Talkin Hoopz exclusive. That was Bob McAdoo, AJ, Kyle, Mark Strickland. Catch you guys on the rebound.